What is up, you guys? Here to do a Cory Sandhagen versus Moraes recap. Um, Sorry, it's been a while since I made a video, man. Been dealing with like injuries from working out so much. Like I like to hike, I like to lift weights. So every once in a while I get hurt, and I was just like, man, I'm sore. I do not feel like sitting in front of this computer and making videos. But hey, I'm back. Um, so weekend was good, man. Other than this, rested, ate a lot as usual. So didn't really get to watch any shows. Mostly caught up on YouTube. Shows like Endless Adventure. I don't know if y'all watch that. Watch a lot of their travel videos because I like to travel a lot. So pretty much all I did all weekend, man. If y'all trying to wonder what I do, but no hiking or anything, just kind of rested. But let's get straight into it, man. Um, I got this one wrong. Uh, I picked Moraes to pretty much land that big right hand, or just ground and pound him. Thought he was gonna take him down, things like that. No. The right guy won based off metrics. And Sandhagen was basically my um, what's the word? My overall idea of him is like if he can just perfect his head movement, Sandhagen, and improve his takedown defense, he's a title contender in this division, and he is just a force to be reckoned with, man. He's like the John Jones of the division because he's tall and lanky for the division, but it's kind of like John Jones of the 2010s. Um, Kind of how Sandhagen is in the bantamweight. He's like the John Jones of the 2010s. He's just really tall. He's really long. He's got the reach advantage probably over most guys. He's got the height advantage over most guys. So yeah. So who do y'all think is next for Sandhagen? That was my first question. Peter Yan, Dillashaw. What do you think? Or also the Peter Yan versus Aljo fight, or do you think it should be Dillashaw? So let me know who you think is next for Sandhagen. So let's get straight into the breakdown. The story of the fight was just leg kicks. He kept Moraes at a distance with those leg kicks, and he just came out more aggressive. It was like the battle of the leg kicks in the beginning of the round. It was like Sandhagen was landing more leg kicks than Moraes, and it was just like he was just steady chopping them down. Um, and 34% of his strikes were to the leg. And Sandhagen, he doesn't discriminate. He'll hit you to the body, to the legs, to the head. He'll go all over. So he landed 94% of his strikes by distance, and like I said, 34% of his strikes were to the leg. And this is all from UFC Stats.com. And let's go into Sandhagen's how he won. So Sandhagen was using basically his traditional switch stance look, which was confusing the crap out of Moraes. Like if you go back and watch that fight, dude will go from southpaw to to orthodox to southpaw, literally in 4 or 5 steps. And he would have his lead hand, lead left out. Then he have his lead right. Then he have his, he would just confuse the crap out of him. And sometimes Moraes would just stand there in front of him with his hands down, like he couldn't read him, like he couldn't get a good timing on him. It was just confusing. Like if other fighters fought more switch stance like that, I know Izzy has in some of his fights, but man, if more fighters fought like that, that is confusing as heck to most people. Because think about it, when you're preparing for a guy, you usually know how they're gonna stand, what they usually do, things like that. Sandhagen is like you don't know if he's gonna throw a flying knee at you, you don't know if he's gonna throw a hook at you, you don't know if he's gonna kick you in the leg, you don't know if he's gonna throw a jab. So it's just like dude is unconventional as the definition. Like he is technical. Like he is like smart. I don't know. He's just like I never really studied bantamweights like this before. He is by far one of the most interesting switch stancers, strikers I've ever seen. Um, so basically, he was using angles to cut off Moraes, and that was like it was either angles to cut him off, to cut off Moraes when the octagon was when Moraes was circling towards him, or he would use angles to cut Moraes down when Moraes was circling away from his power hand. So I noticed that a lot. He was using switches, like I said, and he was using constant jabs. The jabs basically set up like the kicks and the knees and the things like that. But the jab was like constantly, he was just peppering him constantly throughout the fight, just like confusing him. And then like he would feint the jab, and throw a kick, and then he would feint or throw the jab and then throw a head kick, or just come in tight and throw a knee, things like that. Um, all of this was just keeping Moraes out of sync. It was crazy. It was like, and he was using glove control to measure distance. Like I said, in other fights, those guys they'll use glove control, but in this fight, he was using glove control to measure distance and also to blind Moraes. So I was noticing like in other people's like just the announcers were saying like he's using that lead hand to kind of blind Moraes, and I was just like, oh yeah, that is. I've never noticed somebody use that lead hand when they're doing his glove control to blind the guy, so you can, when he has his hands up, that basically leaves his body exposed, so he can throw a left leg kick or a right leg kick or a jab or whatever. So it was interesting how he was using that glove control to not only measure his distance so he can throw a kick, but he was also using it to blind Moraes. So that was interesting. Um, Sandhagen's, like I said before, his head movement wasn't that great because he was getting hit a lot, but he wasn't getting hit as much as in his old fight. So if he just gets hit less, like I said, he'll be a great champion. Um, he was definitely sticking and moving the entire fight, man. He was circling, sticking, moving. Um, and in the past fights, like I said, he would eat a punch to give a punch. In this fight, he was doing more sticking and moving than he had ever done before. Moraes was throwing a lot of big telegraphed overhand rights, and they were just looping big overhand rights that were landing sometimes, and he was landing big hooks that were landing sometimes, but a lot of times they weren't landing. In one sequence, Moraes would use feints to set up different weapons throughout the fight, like I said. And in one sequence, he would feint the right jab and come with the left kick. And then he would constantly use his, like I said, his lead left jab throughout the fight to pepper Moraes to land points. But he also uses it to set up his left fake left leg fakes, and then he would come with something else like a jab or a knee or something like that. Sandhagen would also fake the jab, and he would throw like a leg kick, like I said, and he just basically picked him apart all round one, using fakes, feints, and leg kicks and jabs. And a bit later in the second round, Cory would he started landing. So like for the finishing to finish it off, he landed a what was that? I was taking notes throughout the fight, and sorry, these are like kind of dribbled around because I was definitely drinking during this fight, so might be a little mumbled and jumbled here. Oh yeah, constant body kicks. And the body kicks that he was landing was basically definitely slowing Moraes down. So I was just like, yeah, and Moraes isn't known to last a long time. So like usually after the second round he's done. So he was landing lots of body kicks to basically slow him down. Um, and then once that happened, he landed that spinning heel kick, and it was it. Then he finished him off with the ground and pound, and that was it. So let's get into the co-main event: Edson Barbosa versus Makwan. It was basically his typical striker versus wrestler fight. Edison landed those quick right jabs that set Makwan down on his butt twice, and it was just like, man, they were just lightning fast. Like nobody could see him coming. They weren't telegraphed or anything. Um, and Makwan possibly won that third round. He was on top. He had top control, but he wasn't really doing anything with it. So the ref stood them back up, and that was it. I mean, it was just mostly a dominant round 1 and 2 by Edison, and that third round was kind of even. But easily Makwan could have maybe won that round. But it was a good fight, and I think now that Edison's back on a winning streak, he definitely, hopefully, he moves with the rankings and gets a title fight soon that he deserves, because he's a good fighter, man. He's got some highlight reel knockouts from the past. He's probably the best kickboxer in the UFC. He's quick. He's got fast hands. He's a vet, man. Makwan will probably bounce back. Wrestlers usually when it's a wrestler versus a striker, usually wrestlers win. So Makwan just got to go back to the drawing board. He's got to throw more than just that check hook. He's got to throw more than just the uppercut. He's got to add more weapons to his belt, and he'll be back. He'll be strong, and that's it. The next big fight, man, was the viral knockout of the year, probably. Like, man, I felt so bad for Impa Kasanganay, man. He is like my favorite up and coming guy, and it was just like I looked at my phone that day because I missed most of the prelims, and I looked at my phone and it said KO of the year. I was like, what? So I heard and got home like 5 minutes later and turned on the replay, and it was not good. So what a fight! The fight basically started out as a slugfest. Joaquin was landing some big overhand rights and landing some nasty elbows on the top in round one. Then later, Impa caught him with a good right late in round one, along with the big knee that knocked Buckley's mouthpiece out. But the fight was basically even midway through the second round. But then Buckley lands that amazing spinning back kick that was like Taekwondo meets Bruce Lee. Just never seen a knockout that devastating. My personal favorite knockout is probably Francis Ngannou of Alistair Overeem. We pretty much uppercutted him off the mat. That's one of my favorite. Or maybe Anderson Silva versus Vitor when he did that front kick to Vitor's face and put him out. But I'll probably do a top 5 knockouts soon. If y'all want to see that, let me know. If y'all want to see something else, let me know too. But like I said, Impa's such a good guy. He got a good personality. He'll bounce back and he'll be stronger than ever. So big up to him. The last but not least, Tom Aspinall versus Bado. Tom is an accomplished orthodox striker, man, and he's got some hands, man. He's like the British Tyson Fury of the UFC. He's got some quick hands. But the fight started off weird. Like they were both like, I don't know if they were just like trying to get their timing down or testing each other out or what. But in midway through the first round, Tom started landing some body kicks, and he landed some big lefts and rights and gets him against the fence, gets a clinch in. But then Bado landed some knees, and he landed that overhand elbow. But then Tom was like, I ain't having no more of this. And he was like, he level changed, took him to the ground, got the double leg, took him down. Then it was all she wrote after that. He landed like 4 or 5, maybe 6 big overhand ground and pound rights, and just that was it. So those are pretty much the fights that I took away from. I didn't catch all of them. I'll have to go back and watch them. But man, let me know what was your favorite fight. Let me know what you think is next for Tom, Joaquin, Edison, Marlon Moraes, Sandhagen. Let me know in the comments what you think is next for them. Let me know if you want to see any more other breakdowns on past fights. If you want to see something else, just let me know. Sorry if there was a lot of like jumbling and misjumbling. It's really early here. I'm tired, but I want to make a video so I could do this, and I'll do a video later on the week against for Korean Zombie versus Ronald Tigger. So I'll see y'all soon, man. Thanks a lot.